My daughter-in-law told me Thanksgiving was canceled. She said they weren't doing anything this year, just a quiet day at home. Nothing special. So I stayed home on Thanksgiving Day, alone, in the house where my husband and I had hosted 40 Thanksgivings together before he died 18 months ago. Then, at 2 p.m., my granddaughter Lily called me crying. "Grandma, why aren't you here? Mommy said you were too busy, but everyone else is here and we're about to eat and I miss you." That's when I realized Thanksgiving wasn't canceled. Amber had lied to me. While telling me they weren't celebrating, she'd been planning an elaborate Thanksgiving dinner with 12 guests, her parents, her sister's family, everyone except me. And she'd spent over $6,000 of my money to do it. You see, a year ago, I'd given my daughter-in-law my credit card for family emergencies. Over 12 months, she'd charged $22,000 to it, and I'd been paying every bill, thinking I was helping my son's young family. When I heard my granddaughter crying, asking why I wasn't at a Thanksgiving that supposedly didn't exist, I made a decision. I got dressed. I got in my car, and I drove to their house with something Amber didn't know I had. 12 months of credit card statements showing exactly what she'd been spending my money on. Before I tell you what happened when I walked through that door and interrupted her picture-perfect Thanksgiving with the truth, and trust me, it was spectacular. Let me ask you, have you ever been lied to by family? Made to feel like you're the problem when really you're just inconvenient? If you've ever been excluded while funding someone else's good time, hit that subscribe button. We share real stories about family, betrayal, and the moment you finally say enough. My name is Mildred Hayes. I'm 62 years old. This is my story. My name is Mildred Hayes, but everyone who loves me calls me Millie. I'm 62 years old, and until 18 months ago, I was married to the love of my life for 42 years. Leonard and I met in 1981 at a Motown concert in downtown Detroit. He was 23, working on the assembly line at Ford. I was 21, a secretary at an insurance company. He asked me to dance to My Girl, and I said yes. We were married 8 months later. We bought our house on the east side in 1983, a small brick 3-bedroom with a front porch and a backyard big enough for family gatherings. We raised our son Anthony there, celebrated every holiday there, built a life there. Leonard worked at Ford for 38 years before retiring. I worked at the same insurance company for 35 years. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We saved, we planned. We took care of what we had. Thanksgiving was our favorite holiday. Every year, I'd get up at 5 in the morning to start the cornbread dressing, my mother's recipe from when she was cooking in Mississippi in the 1940s. Leonard would handle the turkey, basting it every 30 minutes like clockwork. By noon, our house would smell like heaven. We'd have 15, sometimes 20 people around our table. Family, neighbors, friends who had nowhere else to go. Leonard would say grace, thanking God for another year together, and I'd look around that table and feel so blessed. Our son Anthony was our pride and joy. Smart, hardworking, got his degree in business from Wayne State. When he was 32, he met Amber at a networking event. She was 28, working as an event planner, pretty and charming and full of energy. Leonard and I liked her well enough at first. She seemed to make Anthony happy, and that was what mattered to us. They got married 6 years ago. I helped with the wedding, paid for the flowers and the cake, about $2,800 total. Amber wanted everything perfect, everything coordinated, everything Instagram-worthy. Even back then, she had expensive taste. 2 years after they married, they had Lily. Then 2 years after that, Mason. My grandchildren became the light of my life. I'd babysit twice a week, take them to the park, bake cookies with them, read them stories. Leonard adored those babies. He'd get down on the floor and play cards with Mason for hours. He'd have tea parties with Lily, wearing a plastic crown she'd put on his head. Those were beautiful years. Then in April of last year, Leonard had a heart attack. Massive. He was in the garage working on his old Chevy when it happened. Anthony found him when he stopped by after work. Leonard died before the ambulance even arrived. He was 64 years old. My world ended that day. The first few months after Leonard died were a blur. I couldn't sleep in our bed. I couldn't cook in our kitchen without crying. Everything in that house reminded me of him. Anthony was wonderful during that time. He called me every day. He'd stop by with the kids. He'd mow my lawn, fix things around the house, make sure I was eating. Amber was supportive too in her way. She'd bring the kids over, let them spend the night with me, give me something to focus on besides my grief. That first Thanksgiving without Leonard, 6 months after he died, was the hardest day of my life. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to celebrate. But Anthony insisted, "Ma, come to our house. Let us cook for you this year. You shouldn't be alone." So I went. It wasn't the same. Amber's cooking wasn't anything like mine, and the house was too modern, too cold. But I was with my family. I had my grandchildren. I made it through. After the holidays in January of this year, Amber came to me with a request. "Millie, I hate to ask this, but Anthony and I are in a tight spot financially. His company is doing some restructuring, and we're worried about his job security. Could you possibly help us out?" "Of course, baby. What do you need? Would you be willing to give me your credit card?" "Just temporarily, just for emergencies. That way, if something happens and we need money quickly, we don't have to bother you every time. I promise I'll only use it if absolutely necessary." I hesitated. Something about it felt off. But I looked at Amber's concerned face, and I thought about Anthony possibly losing his job, and I thought about my grandchildren needing security. "Okay," I said. "But this is for real emergencies only, Amber. Medical bills, car repairs, that kind of thing." "Of course, Millie. Of course. Thank you so much. You're saving us." I gave her my Visa Platinum card. The one I'd had for 20 years, the one with an $8,000 limit that I'd never come close to maxing out because I was careful with money. "I'll take such good care of this," Amber promised. "And I'll pay you back for anything I use." That was 11 months ago. She never paid me back. Not once. Not a single dollar. The first credit card bill came in February. $118.47. I stared at it, confused. I hadn't used my card except for groceries and gas. Maybe $300 at most. I called the credit card company. They read me the charges. Nordstrom, $640. West Elm, $520. Whole Foods, $380. Target, $307. Amber's emergencies, apparently. Included designer clothes and home decor. I called her. "Amber, honey, the credit card bill is pretty high." "What were these charges for?" "Oh, Millie, I'm so sorry. Anthony needed some new work clothes for meetings, and the kids needed winter coats, and we had to get some things for the house." I promised next month will be better. I paid the bill. What else could I do? But next month wasn't better. It was $2,340. March, $2,100. April, $1,890. May, $2,650 every month. I'd call Amber. Every month she had explanations. Mason needed special shoes for his feet. The pediatrician insisted. The washing machine broke. We had to replace it immediately. Lily's school is doing this fundraiser, and I wanted to contribute. Always something. Always urgent. Always necessary. I was paying these bills out of my retirement savings. Leonard and I had saved carefully. His Ford pension, my 401k, our savings account. We'd planned for retirement together. Now I was watching that money drain away, month after month. But I told myself I was helping my family. Anthony's job must be more unstable than he was letting on. They must really be struggling. In June, I ran into Anthony at the grocery store. He was in a great mood. "Hey, Ma, guess what? I got a promotion. Senior manager. 15% raise." My stomach dropped. "A promotion? That's wonderful, baby." "When did this happen?" "Last month. Things have really turned around at work. I was worried for a while there, but we're solid now." "That's great. Does Amber know?" "Of course." "She's thrilled. She's already planning what to do with the extra money." I drove home in a daze. Anthony got a promotion in May, but Amber was still charging thousands of dollars to my card every month, still talking about their financial struggles. That night, I looked through all my credit card statements carefully, really looked at them. Nordstrom, Sephora, Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma, Anthropology, restaurants I'd never heard of with $200 bills. A spa day for $340, hair salon appointments every 3 weeks at $180 each. These weren't emergencies. This was Amber living a lifestyle she couldn't afford on my money. Over 6 months, she'd spent $12,000. I should have confronted her then. I should have taken the card back. But I didn't want to cause problems between Anthony and Amber. I didn't want to be the difficult mother-in-law. And honestly, I was lonely. The kids' visits, the family dinners. I was afraid if I made waves, I'd lose that too. So I said nothing. I just kept paying the bills. In July, Amber redecorated their living room. New couch, new chairs, new coffee table, new lamps, all on my card. $4,200 in 1 month. We really needed to update, she told me when I saw it. The old furniture was falling apart, but I'd been in their house 2 months earlier. The furniture was fine, only 5 years old. Nothing wrong with it except that Amber wanted something new. August brought a family vacation to Mackinac Island. They didn't invite me, but I saw the charges. Hotel, $1,200. Restaurants, $800. Shopping, $650 September. Back to school shopping that included $400 in clothes for Amber herself. October. Halloween decorations that cost more than I'd spent on groceries all month. By the time November arrived, Amber had charged $22,000 to my credit card in 11 months. $22,000 of my retirement money. Money Leonard and I had saved for decades. Money I was supposed to be living on for the next 20 years. I felt sick every time I thought about it. But I still hadn't said anything. I was too ashamed, too afraid of conflict, too worried about losing my family. Then, in early November, Amber started preparing for Thanksgiving. She posted on Facebook about her plans. Professional florist for centerpieces. Catering from a fancy restaurant for all the side dishes. Organic free-range turkey from a specialty farm. New dining room furniture to accommodate more guests. New china. New tablecloths. I watched her spending on my credit card statements like watching a car crash in slow motion. November 8th, Pottery Barn. $800 for dishes. November 12th, West Elm. $2,400 for a new dining table and chairs. November 15th, Whole Foods. $340 for specialty ingredients. November 18th, Florist. $280 November 20th, Wine Store. $350. She was spending thousands of dollars of my money to create her perfect Thanksgiving. And then on Monday, November 20th, 6 days before Thanksgiving, my phone rang. It was Amber. Hey, Millie. I wanted to let you know that we've decided to cancel Thanksgiving this year. Cancel Thanksgiving? I repeated, confused. What do you mean? Yeah, we've just been so busy, and Anthony's exhausted from work, and the kids have been sick with colds. We decided to just skip it this year. Keep it low-key, maybe order pizza or something. Nothing special. My heart sank. Oh, well, I could still make my dressing and bring it over. I don't mind. And my sweet potato pie? No, Millie. That's sweet, but honestly, we're not doing anything. We might not even cook. It's just going to be a regular Thursday. You know how it is. I see. My voice came out smaller than I intended. You understand, right? We're just so overwhelmed. Maybe next year we'll do a big thing. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, looking at the empty chair where Leonard used to sit. First Thanksgiving without him, I'd had family. Second Thanksgiving without him, I'd have nobody. I told myself it was fine. They were tired. The kids were sick. It was okay, but it hurt. Lord, it hurt. I'd been looking forward to Thanksgiving for weeks, planning what I'd make, imagining Lily and Mason's faces when they ate my pie, thinking about having my family around me on a day that felt so empty without Leonard. Now, I'd spend it alone. The days before Thanksgiving crawled by. I bought a small turkey breast for myself, tried to muster enthusiasm for cooking just for one. Couldn't. I called Anthony on Tuesday. Hey, baby, your wife said you're not doing Thanksgiving this year? Yeah, Ma, we're just taking it easy. Sorry, I know you usually look forward to it. That's okay. I understand. Are the kids feeling better? The kids? Oh, yeah. They're fine now. Something in his voice sounded off, but I didn't push. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up in the house that felt too big, too quiet, too full of memories. I made myself coffee and sat at the kitchen table where Leonard and I had shared thousands of breakfasts. 47 Thanksgivings we'd hosted. 47 years of family and food and gratitude and love. This year, nothing. I thought about cooking anyway. But for who? Just me? What was the point? Instead, I sat in Leonard's chair, something I never did, And I cried. For my husband. For my loneliness. For feeling forgotten by my own son. Around 1 o'clock, I made myself a sandwich. Turkey from the deli. Not even real Thanksgiving turkey. I turned on the TV. The Macy's parade was over. Football had started. I didn't care about football. Leonard had loved football. Everything reminded me of what I'd lost. At 2:15 p.m., my phone rang. Lily's name on the screen. My heart lifted a little. At least I could talk to my grandbaby. Hi, sweetheart. Happy Thanksgiving. Grandma. Her voice was thick with tears. Grandma, why aren't you here? What do you mean, baby? Your mommy said Thanksgiving was canceled this year. No, it's not. We have the big table, and Grandma Jean and Grandpa Mike are here, and Aunt Sarah and Uncle Tom and all the cousins, and we're about to eat, and Mommy made me wear this itchy dress for pictures, and I asked where you were, and Mommy said you were too busy, but you're not busy, are you? You're never too busy for us. The world stopped. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Lily, sweetheart, who all is there? Everybody. Mommy's whole family. We have 2 turkeys, Grandma. 2! And so much food! And Mommy got new plates that she says we have to be really careful with, and there's flowers everywhere, and Grandma, why aren't you here? Don't you want to see us? I want to see you more than anything, baby. Let me talk to your mommy. She's taking pictures outside with everyone. She said not to bother her. Grandma, I miss you. Nobody made the dressing the way you do. Mommy got it from a restaurant, and it doesn't taste right. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Lily, baby Grandma's going to come see you, okay? You tell Mason I'll be there soon. Really? You're coming? Yes, I'm coming right now. After I hung up, I sat there for a full minute, processing what I'd just learned. Thanksgiving wasn't canceled. Amber had lied to me. She'd planned this whole elaborate dinner with 12 people, her parents, her sister's family, everyone, and deliberately told me it wasn't happening so I wouldn't come, while spending my money. Thousands of my dollars for her picture-perfect Thanksgiving that I wasn't allowed to attend. I walked to my bedroom and opened my desk drawer. Inside was a folder I'd been keeping, every credit card statement from the past 11 months, highlighted and organized. I'd been documenting the spending, though I didn't know why. Maybe some part of me knew I'd need proof eventually. I grabbed the folder, put on my good dress, the navy one Leonard always said made my eyes look pretty, put on my pearls, fixed my makeup. If I was going to crash Amber's Thanksgiving, I was going to look like I belonged there. Then I got in my car and drove to my son's house. That folder on the passenger seat beside me, Amber had lied to me. Excluded me, spent my money, made my granddaughter cry. She wanted a perfect Thanksgiving. She was about to get a very different kind of memorable holiday. I pulled up to Anthony and Amber's house at 2:45 p.m. From the street, I could see everything Amber had bought with my money. Professional fall decorations covered the front porch, expensive wreaths, corn stalks, pumpkins arranged artistically, lights wrapped around the columns, a banner that said, "Give thanks" in elegant script hung over the door. Through the large front window, I could see the new dining room furniture. That $2,400 table, extended with all its leaves, covered with a harvest-colored tablecloth I'd never seen before. The new china place settings. The floral centerpieces. 4 cars were parked in the driveway and along the street. I recognized Amber's parents' silver Lexus, her sister's white SUV. I sat in my car for a moment, listening. Even from outside, I could hear laughter and conversation. The sounds of a family celebration. The sounds of the Thanksgiving I'd been told didn't exist. I picked up my folder of credit card statements, took a deep breath, and got out of the car. As I walked up the driveway, I passed the decorative outdoor lights Amber had installed. According to my November statement, those had cost $580. I climbed the porch steps. Through the window, I could see everyone gathered in the dining room. Amber's father was carving the turkey. Her mother was pouring wine. Children were running around. Anthony was laughing at something someone said, my son, having Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving he told me was canceled. The Thanksgiving they were too tired to host. The Thanksgiving I wasn't invited to. I didn't knock. I used the key Anthony had given me years ago for emergencies. The door opened into the foyer. I could see straight through to the dining room where everyone was gathering around that expensive table. I walked in. Nobody noticed me at first. They were too busy settling into their seats, passing dishes, taking photos of the beautiful spread. Then Lily saw me. "Grandma!" She leaped out of her chair and ran to me, throwing her arms around my waist. "You came! You came!" The entire room went silent. Every head turned toward the doorway. I looked at each face. Amber's parents, Jean and Mike, looking confused. Her sister Sarah and brother-in-law Tom, frozen with serving spoons in their hands. Their 3 children staring. Mason breaking into a huge smile. Anthony, his face draining of color. And Amber. Standing at the head of that table in a designer dress I'd never seen before, probably another charge on my card, holding a wine glass. Her expression transforming from shock to panic to anger in 3 seconds. "Millie." Her voice was tight. "What are you doing here?" "Lily called me," I said calmly, holding my granddaughter close. She was crying, asking why I wasn't at Thanksgiving. "The Thanksgiving you told me was canceled," I can explain. "Can you?" I walked further into the room, into their line of sight. "Can you explain why you told me you weren't doing anything for Thanksgiving? That it was canceled? That you were too tired, too busy, that the kids were sick?" Anthony stood up. "Ma, I didn't know she told you. But you knew I wasn't invited, didn't you, Anthony?" He looked at the floor. That was answer enough. "Millie, this is really not the time," Amber started. "Not the time?" I looked around the room. At the 2 organic turkeys that cost $380 combined. At the catered side dishes from that expensive restaurant, $700. At the wine that cost $350. At the new china, the new table, the new decorations. I held up my folder. "I think this is exactly the time. Because all of this, every bit of this beautiful Instagram perfect Thanksgiving was paid for with my money." Amber's mother, Jean, spoke up. "I'm sorry, what?" "A year ago, I gave Amber my credit card for family emergencies." I opened the folder, pulling out the first statement. In 11 months, she's charged $22,000 to it. $22,000 of my retirement savings. That's not... You offered... Amber's face was bright red. "I offered to help with emergencies. Not to fund your lifestyle." I pulled out more statements. Nordstrom, Sephora, West Elm, Pottery Barn. This dining room table? $2,400. The dishes you're eating off? $800. The decorations on your porch? $580. "Mom, you're embarrassing me," Anthony tried. "I'm embarrassing you." I looked at my son. "You let your wife spend my money, exclude me from Thanksgiving, and lie to me about it, and I'm the one embarrassing you?" I turned to Amber's parents. "Jean, Mike, did you know that Amber told me Thanksgiving was canceled? That she deliberately lied to keep me away while she threw this expensive dinner on my credit card?" They looked at their daughter with shocked faces. "Amber, is this true?" Her mother asked. "She's making it sound worse than it is. I have 11 months of statements." I put the folder on that expensive table, right next to the turkey. Every charge is highlighted. Every lie is documented. You want to see what $22,000 of someone else's money looks like? Here it is. Amber's face went from red to white. "You brought bank statements to Thanksgiving dinner? That's insane!" "You know what's insane?" My voice stayed calm. "Spending $6,500 of someone else's money on a holiday you told them was canceled." Amber's father, Mike, stood up, reaching for the folder. "May I?" I handed it to him. He started flipping through the statements, his expression growing darker with each page. "Anthony," Mike said quietly, "did you know about this?" My son looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "I knew Mom gave us her card for emergencies. I didn't know it was this much. You got a promotion in May," I said. "Remember? You told me yourself. 15% raise. You said things had turned around at work. But Amber kept charging thousands to my card every month after that." Anthony's head snapped toward his wife. "You kept using her card after I got promoted? We still had expenses." Amber's voice was rising. "You don't understand how expensive everything is. The kids need things. The house needs updates. We have a lifestyle to maintain. On my money?" I couldn't keep the pain out of my voice. "I'm a 62-year-old widow living on retirement savings, Amber. Savings my husband and I built over 40 years. And you've been treating it like your personal shopping fund." Jean was looking at her daughter like she didn't recognize her. "Amber Lynn, You told us Anthony got a big promotion and you were doing well financially. We are doing well. Then why are you charging $22,000 to your mother-in-law's credit card? Mike's voice was sharp now. Sarah, Amber's sister, spoke up from her end of the table. Amber, oh my God. Remember when you told me you couldn't help with Mom and Dad's anniversary gift because money was tight? But you spent $340 on a spa day? I looked at the statement Mike was holding. April 14th, the same week you told me you couldn't afford Mason's field trip fee and asked me to write a check for $50. You asked her for $50. While spending $300 at a spa? Anthony's voice was dangerous now. Lily was still holding on to me, and Mason had come over too. Both children could feel the tension, but didn't understand it. And the worst part, I continued, my voice breaking, is that you told me Thanksgiving was canceled. You looked me in the eye and said you were too tired, too busy, the kids were sick. You let me spend today alone in the house where my husband died, eating a sandwich by myself, thinking my family didn't want me. That's not fair, Amber started. What's not fair is lying to me. What's not fair is excluding me while spending my money. What's not fair is making your daughter call me in tears, asking why I'm not here when you told me there was nothing to come to. Anthony sank back into his chair, head in his hands. I didn't know she told you it was canceled. I thought you said you couldn't come. She told you I couldn't come? I looked at my son. Anthony, I haven't missed a Thanksgiving with you in your entire life. Why would I suddenly be too busy? He had no answer. Because there was no good answer. Mike was still reading through statements, and his expression was getting more horrified. Amber, you spent $4,200 in 1 month at furniture stores. $4,000! The living room needed updating. No, it didn't. Anthony exploded. I told you the furniture was fine. You insisted we needed new stuff because your friends were coming over and you were embarrassed by our old couch. A $4,200 couch that I paid for, I said. While you told me you were struggling financially, Jean looked at her daughter with something close to disgust. We raised you better than this. Mom, you don't understand what it's like trying to keep up. Keep up with what? I asked. Amber, I've been to your house. I've seen your life. You have a beautiful home, 2 healthy children, a husband with a good job. What are you keeping up with that's worth lying to your mother-in-law and stealing her retirement money? I didn't steal. Yes, you did. Mike set the folder down. This is theft, Amber. Elder financial abuse. You took advantage of a grieving widow. I'm not a victim, I started. Yes, you are, Jean said gently. Honey, I'm so sorry. We had no idea she was doing this. Tom, who'd been silent until now, cleared his throat. Anthony, man, you really didn't know your wife was spending over 20 grand of your mom's money? I knew she had the card. I didn't know she was using it like this. Anthony looked at me with tears in his eyes. Ma, I swear I didn't know. But you knew I wasn't invited today. You knew she told me Thanksgiving was canceled. And you said nothing. He nodded, ashamed. I should have said something. I should have invited you myself. I'm sorry, Ma. Amber was looking around the table desperately, seeing her perfect Thanksgiving falling apart. This is ridiculous. You're all acting like I committed some crime. You did, Mike said flatly. What you did is a crime. I want my credit card back, I said quietly. Right now, Amber crossed her arms. Fine, it's in my purse. And I want you to know that I'm canceling it the moment I leave here. Every charge from this point forward will be denied. You can't just, yes, I can. It's my card, my credit, my money that you've been spending like it's yours. Jean stood up. Amber, go get the card, now. For a moment, I thought Amber might refuse, but something in her mother's voice made her comply. She left the dining room, and we all sat in uncomfortable silence. The beautiful Thanksgiving table, the expensive turkey, the catered dishes, the new china, suddenly looked obscene. All of it bought with money taken from a widow. Amber returned and practically threw the card at me. It landed on the table next to the statements. I picked it up, put it in my purse. Thank you. Are you happy now? Amber's voice was bitter. You've ruined Thanksgiving. The kids are upset. Everyone's uncomfortable. Was it worth it? Was lying to me worth it? I asked. Was excluding me from my own family's Thanksgiving worth it? Was spending $22,000 of my retirement money worth it? She had no answer. Mike stood up, pulling out his phone. Amber, your mother and I need to talk to you, privately, right now. Dad, Now, Amber. They went into the kitchen. We could hear Mike's raised voice, Jean's disappointed tone, Amber's defensive responses. Sarah looked at me sympathetically. Mrs. Hayes, I had no idea she was doing this. If I'd known... It's not your fault, honey. Anthony was staring at the statements, flipping through them. A vacation to Mackinac Island? When did you go to Mackinac Island? August, I said. You didn't invite me to that either. I thought we were saving money. She told me her parents paid for it. Sarah shook her head. They didn't. I remember Amber posting about it. She said you guys had saved up. Anthony's hands were shaking. What else has she lied about? Tom leaned over and pointed to one of the statements. Dude, she spent $200 at Nordstrom in one day. What did she even buy? I don't know. Anthony looked like he was going to be sick. The voices in the kitchen were getting louder. We heard Jean say, I'm absolutely ashamed of you right now. Lily tugged on my sleeve. Grandma, is Mommy in trouble? I knelt down to her level. Sweetheart, Mommy made some grown-up mistakes. But you and Mason haven't done anything wrong. Grandma loves you so much. Are you going to stay for dinner? Please? I looked at that table. At the food I'd paid for. At the family celebration I'd been excluded from. At my son, who looked devastated. At the sound of Amber being confronted by her parents in the other room. I don't think that's a good idea today, baby. Anthony stood up abruptly. Ma, please don't go. Stay. This is your Thanksgiving, too. More than anyone's, this is yours. You paid for it. Anthony, no, I mean it. Stay, please. We'll work this out, but please don't leave. The kids want you here. I want you here. I looked around the table. Sarah and Tom were nodding. The children looked hopeful. Even Jean and Mike came back from the kitchen, Mike looking grim and Jean wiping tears. Millie, Jean said, I owe you an apology. My daughter has been horrible to you. Worse than horrible. She stole from you, lied to you, and excluded you. We just told her that she needs to get a job, pay you back every penny, and she's getting therapy whether she likes it or not. Where is she? I asked. Upstairs, sulking. Mike's jaw was tight. She's angry that we're not defending her. But there's no defense for what she's done. What she did is illegal, Tom said. Financial exploitation of a senior. That's prosecutable. I don't want to prosecute, I said quickly. I just want my money protected and to not be treated like this anymore. You have every right to prosecute, Mike said. But I understand if you don't want to. She's still family. But Millie, if you change your mind, Jean and I will support that decision completely. Anthony came around the table and hugged me for the first time since Leonard's funeral. Ma, I'm so sorry. I should have been paying attention. I should have protected you. I'm going to fix this. I promise. I held my son and cried. For everything I'd lost. For everything that had been taken. For the year of being used and lied to. When I finally pulled back, I looked at him seriously. Anthony, I love you. But if this marriage of yours is going to continue, things need to change. I will not be treated like this ever again. They will change. I promise you. I stayed. Not because the food looked good, or because the company was comfortable. I stayed because Lily held my hand and wouldn't let go, and because Mason climbed into my lap and whispered, I missed you, Grandma. We sat down at that expensive table, and the meal was awkward. Painfully awkward. Amber stayed upstairs. Anthony barely ate. Jean kept apologizing. Mike looked like he wanted to break something, but the children were happy. They told me about school, about their friends, about what they wanted for Christmas. They didn't understand the adult drama swirling around them, and I was grateful for that. Sarah asked me about my famous cornbread dressing. Mom used to make it, but she said your recipe is different, better. It's my mother's recipe, I said. From Mississippi. I've been making it for 40 years. Could you teach me sometime? I'd love to learn. I'd like that. After dinner, while the men cleaned up and the children played, Jean pulled me aside. Millie, I need you to understand something. What Amber did is unforgivable. Mike and I are horrified. We raised her better than this, and I don't know where we went wrong. She's an adult. Her choices aren't your fault. But the lying is the worst part. Not just lying to you, but lying to us, telling us they were struggling when she was spending thousands on luxuries, making you feel excluded while taking your money. Jean wiped her eyes. I'm so ashamed. I appreciate that. Mike and I talked. We're going to help Anthony make sure every penny gets paid back to you. even if we have to pay some of it ourselves. This isn't right. Before I could respond, Amber appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Her eyes were red and puffy. She'd been crying. She walked over to me slowly, and everyone in the room went quiet. Millie, can we talk? Alone? I looked at Jean, who nodded. We'll be right here if you need us. Amber and I went out onto the back patio. It was cold, late November in Detroit, but I wrapped my sweater around me. I'm sorry, Amber said. I waited. I'd heard a lot of apologies in my life. The real ones came with more than 2 words. I got carried away. I wanted everything to be perfect. Our house, our life, our family. And your card was just there, and it was easy. And I told myself I'd pay you back, but I never did. And then it got worse and worse, and I didn't know how to stop. Why didn't you invite me to Thanksgiving? She looked at the ground. Because I knew you'd see everything I'd bought. The new table, the dishes, the decorations. I knew you'd recognize them from the credit card charges. And I didn't want you to know. I didn't want to deal with it. So I lied and said we weren't doing anything. And you let me spend the day alone, on Thanksgiving, 18 months after my husband died. I know. That was cruel. I'm sorry. Are you sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? She didn't answer for a long time. Finally, both, I guess. Is that honest enough for you? It's more honest than you've been in a year. I'll pay you back. It'll take a while, but I will. My parents are making me get a job. A real job, not this event planning thing I've been pretending to do. Good. You should work. You should know what it's like to earn money instead of spending someone else's. Are you going to press charges? No, but not for you. For Anthony and the kids. They don't deserve that. She nodded, tears streaming down her face now. Thank you. Amber, I need you to understand something. I gave you that card because I loved my family. Because I wanted to help, and you abused that. You lied to me, excluded me, and made me feel like I didn't matter. That's not something I'm going to forget. I know. If you and Anthony stay married, we'll have to find a way forward. But it will never be the same. You broke something, and I don't know if it can be fixed. I understand. We went back inside. The evening ended shortly after. People started leaving, giving me hugs, apologizing for things that weren't their fault. Anthony walked me to my car. Ma, thank you for staying. Thank you for not calling the police. Thank you for not giving up on us. I didn't do it for Amber. I did it for you and those babies. I know. And I'm going to make this right. I promise. I drove home to my empty house, but somehow it felt less empty than it had that morning. 3 days after Thanksgiving, I canceled my credit card and got a new one. The new card lives in my dresser drawer. Nobody has access to it but me. Amber got a job at a real event planning company. Not as a planner, but as an assistant. It pays $42,000 a year. She hated it at first, but John told her she didn't have a choice. Every month, Amber pays me $500. At that rate, it will take her 44 months to pay back the $22,000, nearly 4 years. But I'll get every penny. Anthony opened a separate bank account that Amber doesn't have access to. He deposits money there for the kids and for household necessities. Amber's paychecks go toward paying me back and her personal expenses. Nothing more. The fancy dining room furniture got returned. Most of it, anyway. They got about $1,800 back, which Amber immediately gave to me. The decorations, the dishes, the clothes, all of it serves as a reminder of what happens when you live beyond your means on someone else's money. Anthony and Amber started marriage counseling in January. I don't know if they'll make it. That's not for me to decide. But I see my son twice a week now, and he sees me clearly for the first time in years. The kids come over every Saturday. I teach them to cook. We work on the dressing recipe together. Lily writes down every step in a little notebook. She says she wants to make it when she grows up. This past Thanksgiving, 1 year later, was different. We had it at my house. My rules, my kitchen, my traditions. I made Leonard's turkey. I made my mother's dressing. I made the sweet potato pie. Amber brought store-bought rolls and a salad. That was all she was allowed to contribute. Anthony carved the turkey in his father's chair. Lily helped me set the table with my regular dishes. Nothing fancy, nothing new. Mason said grace, thanking God for family and for Grandma. Amber was quiet through most of the meal. She's different now, humbler, harder working. Whether it will last, I don't know. But for now, she shows up on time. She says please and thank you, and she doesn't ask for anything. Jean and Mike came too. They've become real friends to me. Jean and I have coffee every Tuesday morning. Mike fixed my leaky faucet last month. They've proven that even though their daughter failed me, they won't. As I looked around my table this year, my house, my family, my way, I thought about Leonard. He would have been proud that I stood up for myself, proud that I demanded respect, proud that I didn't let anyone make me feel small. I'm 62 years old. I'm a widow. I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I'm done being anyone's ATM or backup plan. Some people think family means accepting whatever treatment you get because that's just how they are. But I learned something important this year. Family should be the people who treat you the best, not the worst. And if they can't do that, you have every right to set boundaries, even on Thanksgiving. Especially on Thanksgiving. My name is Mildred Hayes. And I finally learned that love without respect isn't love at all. If this story helped you, if you've been excluded by family or taken advantage of by people you trusted, support Big Mama with a super thanks or join as a member. Your support helps me share stories that remind people they deserve better. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been lied to about family gatherings? Have you helped someone financially only to be treated poorly? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear they're not alone. If this is your first time here, subscribe and turn on notifications. We share real stories about family, boundaries, and finding the strength to stand up for yourself. Next time, I'll tell you about a grandmother who discovered her grandson's wife was stealing her jewelry and replacing it with fakes. What she did when she found out will shock you. Until then, remember this. You deserve to be included. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be valued for more than what you can give. And if family can't see that, it's their loss, not yours. Your presence is a gift. Never let anyone treat it like an obligation. Big Mama loves you. Take care of yourself.